Dave Anderson here with the Fisherman magazine. It's May 22nd. These are your headlines. Weakfishing is punching above its weight in Rhode Island and Connecticut this week. Also seeing lots of big striped bass from western Long Island Sound all the way out to the canal. And we've got sea bass season opening in Rhode Island as of today. Stay tuned for all that and more on this week's New England Fishing Forecast.
The ultimate fishing authority in the Northeast, the Fisherman magazine.
No guessing, just catching. New Explore Series fish finders keep you locked on fish with unbeatable clarity, best-in-class imaging options, and a stunning ultra-bright HD screen. There's more to explore, only with Humminbird.
Before we begin, we got a few news items for you guys. The first thing is I just want to talk about that sea bass season opening up in Rhode Island. It opens up as of today, May 22nd. We've got a 2-fish bag limit. We've got a 16.5-inch minimum size, and all indications seem to point to it starting off on the right foot. Talked to quite a few guys who have been bottom fishing out by Block Island for fluke and for tog, and seeing good numbers of sea bass. So you know, if the wind isn't too bad over the weekend, you might even be able to get out there and start things off with a bang. Next thing is we've got the June edition that just came out this week. I'm going to show you the promo video for that now.
The June glossy edition of the Fisherman magazine is out now. Fluke On is a great article from Scott Newhall on the art of the hook set when fluking. 12 Flies, 4 Seasons is the must-have flies you need in your wallet by Angelo Paluzzo. Looking for a surf combo? Long Island editor Matthew Broderick has 8 combos from beginner to the elite. Not just any rod is ideal for targeting fish from a kayak. Dustin Stevens has 5 rods that are ideal for you kayakers. If you have a small skiff and want to maximize its performance, then check out John Raguzzo's read on prop swapping. Finally, Tail End, the story of Kenneth Bliss and how he caught the food chain in one cast. This is a must-read. To get all this and more, be a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine. When you subscribe, you get 12 glossy print editions, 26 digital editions to your inbox, this past weekend's reports, full access to the website, and more. As a subscriber, you can also be part of the Dreamboat Challenge and win a new Steigercraft powered by Yamaha, and compete for a rigged-out kayak from Yak Attack in the Coastal Kayak Clash. Subscribe now.
Next thing, let's check in with our tournaments. Here's the rundown of the Dreamboat Challenge and the Coastal Kayak Clash.
Now it's time for the Dreamboat Fishing Challenge update. Long Island subscriber Sean Brownyard from Bright Waters, New York, weighed in a 6.8-pound weakfish at Suffolk Marine, placing him in first place in the weakfish category. From Malvern, New York, is Long Island subscriber Gregory Satchel, placing third in the sea robin category with a sea robin of 3 pounds weighed in at Bay Park Fishing Station. Weighing in his entry at Miller Place Bait and Tackle is another Long Island subscriber, Daniel Solomon, with his 2.2-pound sea robin, putting him in 4th place in the sea robin category. Then we have New England subscriber Matt Kelly of Boxford, Massachusetts, weighing in a porgy of 2.4 pounds at Maco's, placing him in 3rd in the porgy group. Another Long Island subscriber from Hampton Bays, New York, is Louis Toloski, entering a sea robin weighed in at East End Bait and Tackle at 3.3 pounds, putting him in 2nd in the sea robin category. The leaderboard stands like this: Sean Brownyard with 10 points, Vince Sorkis at 10 points, Scott Waterman at 10 points. Remember to read all contest rules before entering the Dreamboat Fishing Challenge. Are you the best angler in the Northeast? Well, now is your chance to prove it. The Fisherman's Dreamboat Contest is back. Win this Steigercraft center console powered by Yamaha along with these other great prizes. Fish hard and weigh in as many of these species to be top on the leaderboard. What's the catch? You must be a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine. All it takes is one fish on the board to win a great prize, so however you fish, you have a shot. For all the details and official rules, visit thefisherman.com.
We had 8 new entries in the CKC this week and some shuffling in the standings as well. We had a little skirmish at the top of the weakfish category with Bruce Lofgren and Dustin Stevens duking it out for the top. Dustin Stevens won the top spot by 1/4 inch. 2 Nice Fluke filled out the fluke category. Greg Sakowitz landed a 19.25 incher for 3rd place, and Peter Farina took 2nd with a 20.5. David Dew kicked off the sea bass scoring with a 17.25 incher. And there's a new leader at the top of the striped bass category. Tom Hood nailed it down with a 39 incher this week. Justin Oser upgraded both his blackfish and porgy entries with a 21 and a 16-incher respectively. The leaderboard now looks like this. We have Tom Hoot in third place with 5 points. Justin Oser and David Dew are in a virtual tie with 6 points, and David Dew takes the top spot thanks to his 34.5-inch striper.
Hey kayakers, the Fisherman's Coastal Kayak Clash contest is back. Win this fully outfitted Hobie Mirage Lynx kayak from Yak Attack along with other great prizes. Catch and release as many of these species to be top on the leaderboard. To enter, you must be a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine, fish from a kayak, and document your catch. Many chances to win great prizes, so get out there on the water now and fish hard. To be part of the action, you must be a subscriber and register at thefisherman.com.
Last thing, of course, is the giveaway, which is ongoing. I mistakenly told you guys that it ended today, but it actually ends on the 28th. So I have my dates crossed up. So you got one more week to catch that winning fish. I do have a couple of photos at this point that are contenders, but they're not definite winners. We got lots of fish around right now, and lots of different species. So put in some time, and maybe you're going to win that surf howdy, and you're going to win the fillet knife as well. And I'll give you a little foreshadowing. The summer session, the one that's going to begin next week, is going to be a special one. I've been doing some recon, getting a really cool prize pack for you guys, and something has a little sentimental value to me, which I'll fill you guys in on next week. But get those photos into me at danderson@thefisherman.com or text them to the number on the screen. And you guys know the format by now. It's just got to be a picture of you holding your fish, and just got to give me all the pertinent details like your name, where the fish was caught, how fish the big was, what you caught it on, anything else that you think is relevant. Send them in to me, and I'm going to pick my favorite. It's going to be a picture that sort of exemplifies New England fishing. So get those photos in, and we'll see who wins. Moving over into the reports now, we'll start things off up in Maine, and striper fishing is now in full swing up there. We've seen fish up to about the 40-inch class this week. Seen a lot more activity just overall, and you know, I mean, that's what we all hope for at this time of the year. Things are looking really good up in Maine. And then the same thing when you drop down into the Plum Island area. I spent Saturday up at Surfland Bait and Tackle for their surf casting demo day. First of all, those people do it right. You know, you got Liz and Martha and the whole crew. They kept us well fed. They kept people coming in there, and it's one of those places that really has that feel. You know, it brings you back to a bygone era, and you can tell that their customers are very serious fishermen, and I had a great time. I can't wait to go back next year. So while we're talking about Surfland, let's check in with one of their main guys. Here's Kevin Huang from Surfland Bait and Tackle.
Hey guys, Kevin from Surfland Bait and Tackle, checking in with the weekly report. Striped bass are everywhere. Most of the fish been slot size from like 30 to 34, and then there's been some larger specimens caught up to high 40 inches. We're not seeing as much schoolies like we should, which is concerning to me. I mean, you always usually, back then, you would always start off the season with schoolies, and then you would, you know, slowly start getting bigger and bigger. But lately, there's been more small. There's been not that much small fish out there. It's mostly just high 20s to like slot size, and then attached will be, as you see all these different pictures of the striped bass caught recently. The go-to lures are bucktails and paddle tails, like whippet fish from Al Gags, gravity paddle tails, no live bait needed. Those been like the baits of choice. And then upriver, the water's moving, so guys are throwing like that 2 to 3 ounce jig. Another thing is like metal lips. There's fishing metal lip swimmers. I mean, the striped bass are on herring, so that's you got to mimic. You know, you got to mimic the herring to catch them. And shad fishing is still pretty good. I mean, because the striped bass showed up, everyone forgot about the shad. But talking with a couple of guys, there's still pretty good amount of shad out there to be caught. So this is the weekly report. I'll see you guys next week with an even better report. All right, see ya.
Now let's drop down into the Boston area. We'll check in with Danny Parma from Fish Bucket Sportfishing.
Thanks, Dave. Dan checking in with this week's report. And just like that, we're back in action. Fish Bucket was out there on Saturday. We did a couple of trips on Saturday. Morning trip, we started out, we found bait over by the Fish Pier area down in the seaport. And snagged some pogies, threw them on the down rods, and we got a couple, but they were all really, really big pogies. So have a feeling they couldn't quite get the pogies down their throat. So we switched over to the mojos, and right away we were hooking up left and right. Dirty water mojos. We were using the 16-ounce, 8-ounce tandem rigs. We had a chartreuse set and we had a white pearl set. They were hitting the white pearl almost every time. Lot of fish. You know, the top end was maybe 36, 37 inches and a lot of cookie cutter 25, 26-inch fish. Later on that day, we did head out to Graves and jigged up some mackerels. They're all really, really big mackerels, all horse mackerels, and didn't really get many stripers trolling those. Probably just too big. On Sunday, we were out there. We entered the fishing derby, the Zobo Fishing Fanatics Zobo Flounder Derby. Had a good time. I came in 10th place. With a 1.5 pound flounder. The difference between first place and 10th place was about a little under a 1/2 pound, so they were all in the same size. But it was a good time, and looking forward to it next year. Anyways, guys, that's what I got for you. Stay safe. I'll catch you on the next one.
Now let's get an inland freshwater fishing report from Roy Leyva. Here he is.
Hey Dave, Roy Lytle here, checking in from Western Mass. I know it's been a couple of weeks that I've been MIA. Work's been kind of crazy, so I haven't been able to do these videos, but I have been out fishing. Striper fishing in the Connecticut River was actually really, really good until this past day and a half or so. Water's gotten really, really muddy. We got some heavy rains, and we have more heavy rains coming in. So my guess right now is, fishing the river for stripers or shad. It's going to get good again. It should get good again, but you're probably going to have to wait until next week at some point until the water clears up and these levels come down. Also, someone is missing right now in the Connecticut River. Him and his girlfriend were out on a canoe and it capsized. She was rescued by some fishermen that were on shore. Unfortunately, they haven't been able to locate his body. So there is a search out there looking for him, which is a big reminder. I know it's hard sometimes in the weather as it gets warmer. We don't want to wear our life jackets, but it's very important. Very important, especially with the way the river is right now. It's really high and it is cranking. Other than that, trout fishing continues to be really good. All the panfish, bass fishing, they're kind of in between beds and not beds. Carp fishing has picked up. Channel cat fishing has picked up in this area right now. So my guess is, other than the stripers and the shad, everything's a go right now, even with the heavy rains. But for that to fish the rivers, I would wait probably about another week and a half to get back at it. Peace.
Heading down to the south shore of Boston, a lot of good fishing going on in this area. We've been hearing about pretty good flounder action from Boston Harbor down to Quincy area. A lot of keeper fish being reported, and by all accounts, the bite's been pretty solid. A lot of striped bass activity in this area. We're already seeing fish up into the upper 40-inch class now. We've got a lot of bunker around, or pogies if you prefer to call them that. Guys are doing well with flutter spoons. Guys are doing well with big top water plugs. Guys are obviously doing well live lining bunker. And things are really kicking off quickly in that area. So that's definitely an area to keep an eye on. As we cross over the canal, we had our first push of big fish go through the canal last week, so we're starting to see more and more. Those fish are some of the ones that we're seeing in the Plymouth area, but other ones took a right, headed up along the along Sandy Neck and out onto the Cape. And I did hear of a fish touching the 50-pound mark coming out of Barnstable Harbor this week. I don't have a photo of that fish, but came from a reliable source. I think that fish was caught on live mackerel, which is no big surprise. Sounds like there's a lot of fish in the Barnstable Harbor area. And then I talked to some surf guys fishing further out, and they're finding some solid fish as well on metal lips and jerk baits and glide baits and things like that. So things are looking really good on the bay side of the Cape. Outer beaches, not so much yet. I haven't really heard that much. Water's probably still a little chilly out that way, or maybe they just haven't made it all the way around. But the estuaries like Nauset Inlet, Pleasant Bay, there are plenty of striped bass in those spots. Another thing that you don't want to forget about is the flounder fishing from Sassuat out to P-Town. Probably the best flounder fishing you're going to find anywhere in the Northeast. And that's one of the last places where you're going to find like a truly big fish. And if you want to get in on that, I would highly recommend you check in with Jason Colby from Little Sister Charters. He's there through the end of the month of May, so you've got a little bit more time, but not much. So I would give him a call right away if you want to get in on that flounder action. Heading down into the Nantucket Sound area, we've been hearing about some guys pulling on some sea bass, a few tog in that area and up around the Elizabeths. And there's been some really nice striped bass around the Elizabeth Islands this week. I guess there's been a big school of bunker that's been kind of, or maybe several schools of bunker that have been kind of crisscrossing the area. And striped bass up to 50 inches have been caught on plugs and live bunker in that area. Pushing through the islands into Buzzards Bay, a lot of big striped bass in eastern Buzzards Bay as well, as they kind of stack up for the next run into the canal, which will probably happen with the breaking tides next week. And the togging has been very good. Reports from along the Elizabeths have been kind of spotty. I think it's more because not so many people are making that run across when they can do probably just as well, from New Bedford out to the canal. So hearing good solid fishing for blackfish in that area. Haven't heard of anything really big. And then sea bassing is also very good in that area. You got Cleveland Ledge and all kinds of other spots, all these other ledges and reefs and everything from there out to Mattapoisett. All good places to check, and it's sort of an underappreciated area for sea bass. Canal has had another decent week, and for a little bit more on that, let's check in now with East End Eddie. Here he is.
Hi Dave, got a west dropping tide behind me across from the power plant. It's a nice day on the canal. It would be even nicer if some striped bass start coming in to the east end from Cape Cod Bay. So there haven't been any major blitzes, but guys are catching fish. Justin Shooter Dorsey from North Attleboro caught a above slot 33-inch. Shooter was throwing a white algag whippet fish into an east rising tide. And the boys of summer were out. Paulie the Painter Gravina and Mashpee Mike Larea all caught nice fish. And Tim Hollywood Petrarca landed fish up to 38 and 39 inches. And Bill on the Grill Produce continues to have a good season. He landed fish up to 39 and 40 inches. And Slapshot Scotty Ewell was fishing mid-canal, and he caught fish up to a bunch of fish up to 40 inches. I landed a 37-inch striper I was throwing a striper gear Shaddy Daddy. It was black and white with a touch of pink. I chose that because there was some squid in the water. The lures that have been most productive, in addition to the ones I already mentioned, are the White Canal Killer by Bill Hurley, the paddle tail 5-ounce, and Albie Snacks and the Joe Baggs Swatters. We had an unusual visitor the other day in the canal. A basking shark was seen going right by the cribbin and the midgate. So my tip of the week is I wear knee pads, and I wiped out my knee one year for like 6 months. It was in pain, and so those rocks can be very treacherous if you fall on them. And so, in the interest of full disclosure, I have to tell you I'm the only one I've seen in the canal wearing knee pads, but I'll also tell you that I've seen some guys who wish they were wearing knee pads. They land there breathing in pain. So they help, and they're like the kind roofers wear. They just strap on your knee. And they also have a ancillary benefit in that if you're cleaning a fish, can't clean stripers in the canal, but you can fillet a bluefish. And if you're doing that and you have a bad back like me, it helps to kneel down on one knee when you're cleaning the fish. You know, it's hard to find a good place to clean a fish in the canal, but you're on a rock. When you run one knee, it helps your back. And if you've got a knee pad, it helps your knee. So until next week, catch a big one.
Heading out west into Buzzards Bay, all the estuaries still seem to be holding lots of striped bass. They're topping out right at about 30 pounds. I think most of these fish, though, you're going to find are more, say, 30 inches up to like 20 pounds. But very good action, a lot of bait around. And whether you're fishing the Buttermilk Bay, the Wareham River, the Weeweeantic, New Bedford Harbor, Paden Aram, all the way out to the Westport River and beyond, there are striped bass to be had in all these places. And they have been very eager to hit artificial lures, so great fishing in any one of those spots. Definitely a place, an area that you guys would definitely want to check out, and that's what I have for you guys in Massachusetts this week.
At the edge of Long Island, where the ocean meets tradition, Montauk Anglers Club can be your boat's home and your gateway to legendary fishing. Whether you're a pro or just casting your first line, this is where memories are made. Join Montauk Anglers Club, where the catch of the day is just the beginning. Or go to montaukanglersclub.com for more information.
Crossing the border into Rhode Island, let's start things off with an East Bay report from TJ Kopecky.
Thanks, Steve. Right, hey guys, lots to get to again, as always right now. Springtime coming up into June. Bass are everywhere. Barrington River, Warren River, Mount Hope Bay is loaded with them and loaded with pogies. There's Bristol Harbor's got a lot of pogies in it also. So we get a lot of opportunities for bass in the East Bay this week. Not only bass, but we get the tug and then add some scup to that mix. My friend Paulo was out there doing some scup fishing under the Mount Hope Bridge on the Bristol side. In the deeper water, he was fishing 50 to 70 feet and he did really well on scup. And as his scup bycatch, as he calls it, he was catching some tautog in the mix. There is still some really good tautog underneath the Mount Hope Bridge and into the bay. Headed towards Common Fence Point, all around Portsmouth side there, and up to the Stone Bridge in Tiverton. So look for scup and tog, and you might even get a sea bass up in there. I've gotten sea bass early season towards the Stone Bridge and a little further out. So lots of opportunities coming into play right now. There's a lot of bait. There's several types of bait for the fish to feed on. I haven't heard anything about fluke yet inside of the bay. Normally we'll get them in the Sakonnet River first. That's one of our good early season spots. I haven't heard of any yet though. I gotta say though, I had a fishing outing on Sunday and we were way up inside the Taunton River, up near Somerset Marina, and we were on the fish. There was a lot of bass. And there was just schools and schools and schools of pogies up there. There had to be about 50 boats, everybody jockeying for position. It was kind of like a little bit of organized chaos, but people were catching fish up there. And recently, in the last 2 or 3 days, I haven't seen those boats inside of the Taunton River, and I drive by there every day. I don't know if the bait has moved way up or it's just the way the tide is right now, but I gotta tell you, it's been lights out fishing up in there. And that's been going all the way out into Mount Hope Bay and the mouth of Sakonnet, mouth of the Kickamuit, and around Spar Island, Coles River, Lees River. There's bait everywhere, there's bass everywhere, and there's lots to catch out there. So, hey guys, get out there. I know we got a little nor'easter coming, and might cool things off, and but the fishing's still going to remain good, and some of the freshwater fishing that's been around here in the East Bay, it's still good. There's still some nice bass being caught out of Milford Pond and the Upper Warren Reservoir in Swansea, along with some crappie and some really good panfish. So lots of opportunities around the East Bay area, a little bit of South Coast Mass. So get out there and fish tight lines, guys. We'll catch you next week.
For more than 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing, that nothing says no to fish bites.
Now the main thing happening in Rhode Island waters is striped bass fishing, and the main area of focus is Narragansett Bay and Mount Hope Bay. There are lots of bass up in this area, and the best thing about it is that the fishing is very widespread, so you don't have to go to an X marks the spot type of a thing right now. There's a big slug of fish up around Providence. We got a bunch of fish off Prudence. We've got some fish up inside the Bristol Harbor area and then going underneath the Mount Hope Bridge, and we got lots of fish up inside the Taunton River. Now, one thing that really stands out to me this year is that, talking to charter caps who are doing this every day and going out and netting bunker in the morning, these guys are netting a lot of herring in their bunker nets right now. They're having to throw them all back, of course. But, earlier in the season, when I was checking the herring runs back in April, it seemed like it was a really strong run of herring, and that seems to be bearing itself out in how many herring we're seeing up inside the bay. And when you add to that the fact that we have a lot of bunker around, we've got squid, we've got mackerel. This is almost like old school stuff like you heard about from back in the 1950s when there's just so much bait up in the bay. And that's bringing in a lot of different classes of fish. We've got a ton of these slot size fish, say 30 inches up to like 35, so right around the slot, I should say. We got another strong contingent of fish that's right around 40 inches. So these are like 20 to 28 pounds. And then you've got a strong seasoning of some bigger fish up to the low 40-pound class. So the fishing is very good in the bay. Guys are getting it done a lot of different ways. The flutter spoon has been very popular. Big topwater plugs like the dock or something like that have been catching a lot of fish. And then, of course, fishing live bunker or bump trolling them has been working exceptionally well also. And biggest fish I've heard about from the bay this week was 44 pounds. The biggest fish I heard about anywhere, though, was caught out front by a surf fisherman. That was a 48-pounder. So there are some really nice fish to be had, whether you're fishing out front or up inside the bay. And then out front, we're seeing more guys, venturing out to do some fluking. Had some guys that went out to Block Island this week, and I'm calling their experience a victory. They had 20 to 30 fish. They had 2 or 3 keepers in the mix. So, I mean, they're culling through a lot of small fish to get the keepers. But the bite seems to be a little stronger than I remember it being last year at this time. So that's a good thing. We've got a lot of squid showing up along the South County beaches, which is going to fire up the fluke fishing there as well. And these guys that are doing all this bottom fishing have been catching good numbers of sea bass. Obviously they have to be thrown back, but with the opener being today, if this wind ever lays down for the weekend, you guys might be able to get out there and start the sea bass season off on the right foot. Another thing that's been looking really good is the weak fishing up in Narragansett Bay. Most of these fish are being caught along the western shore of the bay, and it's sort of like these outside corners. So anywhere you're getting a strong current coming out of, sort of one of these estuaries that goes up off of the main part of the bay. They don't call them tide runners for nothing. Anywhere we've got some, fast-moving tide is where we're starting to see good numbers of weak fish. And they haven't been gigantic, but we've seen fish up to like 24, 25 inches, and the bite seems to have been fairly good. So we've got that. And then heading back down into the Point Judith area, let's check in now with Captain John Lee from JL Charters.
Hey guys, it's John Lee, Point Judith, Rhode Island. We got some weather setting in. Looks like 2, maybe 3 no fishing days. I guess the big local story's been this squid run on the South Shore. Been very impressive. Guys are going out and doing some pretty significant weight. I'd like to get out Friday night, Saturday night squidding. We're probably, after this nor'easter blows through, we'll see what that does to the squid. I wouldn't be surprised if we're on the backside of the run, but we're going to see. The fluke bite has been surprisingly good with a lot of large fish in the mix. That's kind of around Block Island, out in the deeper water. Those fluke, friends of mine are saying, have silver sides in them, whiting in them, crabs in them. There's a good run of stripers happening around the island. I hear that's on sand eels. I haven't gotten over there yet. I am going to go on my first bass trip, likely on Saturday, so I'll have news about that. Sea bass, that's kind of yet to fully mature. I'm sure they're up in Buzzards Bay, up in Narragansett Bay, but they're not kind of out front here yet. I mean, they're here, but they're just not dense. Anyway, I will get back to you next week. Have a good one.
Another thing that's been going on in Rhode Island is the freshwater fishing has been very good. I know Jeff Sullivan had a really nice largemouth this week, probably one of the best we're going to see all year. This fish was 8.34 pounds, if I remember correctly. And I mean, we all know Jeff by now. A guy puts in more time than anybody else. So congrats to Jeff on that one. And let's check in with him now. Here's his report.
What's up, Dave? What's going on, guys? Checking back in this week. I have a tip to show you guys for you freshwater guys out there like myself. And a little bit of an update what's going on in the freshwater side of things. So let's dive into it. I have a little tip for you spinnerbait users out there, and I've been doing this for quite a few years now, and it works very well. So if you guys don't like direct tying, you like quick in, quick out, kind of, you know, using different lures, covering water, you know, switching in, switching out lures, meaning with a tactical clip or a snap swivel, which is fine because I use snap swivels too sometimes, or tactical clips rather. Sometimes too. So this is a little quick hack for you guys, and it works very well. Just adds insurance because sometimes, you know, you see with these spinnerbaits, some of these spinnerbaits on the market have that open gap in there, and some of them have that twist, so you don't have that open gap. But I'm going to show you how to combat that, because what happens is when you use a clip, your clip will actually slip through that, and you'll lose a fish, or you'll foul up on the cast, or you retrieve. I know it happened to you guys because it happens to me, and it pains me. It's one of my pet peeves. So what I do to fix that is I take some shrink wrap tubing, right? You know, you just got to get a small gauge, you know, just kind of go to the hardware store and get a variety pack. That way you can cover your bases there. I take a small gauge shrink wrap tubing, right? And I'll put it over the top of this, like so. So I know whereabouts I can cut on that tube to cover that point. So I'm going to cut a little bit off, not too much, just enough. It doesn't fly everywhere, but and I'm going to pop it over the top of this, like so, right? And then after that, I'm going to take my handy dandy lighter, and I'm just going to do a little heat up session. I'm just going to heat it up, nice. I'm not roasting s'mores here, so I don't want to do it too much, but just enough to heat it up, like so. Now I'll take my fingers and press in between, in that gap. Right, you see it a little bit. I'll bring it a little closer. It's a little hot, so I don't want to like melt my fingers. All right, so that's glued in there. That ain't going anywhere. So that gap in there, now you have room to put your clip in there, your tactical clip, and now you won't have any slippage, and that's not going anywhere. And the fish don't care. So that's a quick little fish hack for you guys out there that had no idea about it. So hope this helps. And yeah, that's what I do. As far as the freshwater size of things go, the largemouth bite has been the best I've seen in quite some time. I got this spring so far, I have 2 fish that are over 8 pounds that I've encountered, and I've been blessed to catch. And I mean, we've gotten a bunch of 6s, a lot of 5s, some 4s, and everything in between. I think last week I got 3 7s and 7 1/4, and then 1 over 8. Like I said, I've been foaming at the mouth for these fish all winter, so I've been going like a madman, and I'm excited. So I'm excited so much I haven't even picked up my striped bass rod, maybe twice or 3 times, but I'll get the striped bass this week. That's going to ramp up big time. I promise you that. But as far as largemouth goes, it's been absolutely off the charts, bonkers, and it's my favorite time of year for them. So you know, your bladed jigs have been very, very good. You know, you just have to figure out color and profile situation. I've been using the Kitex, biting the head off the Kitex and making them smaller, so it has a smaller compact profile. Has a nice pitch in the blade, you know, depending on what kind of chatterbait or bladed jig you're using. Some of them have brass blades, some of them have tin blades, some of them have aluminum blades, so you just kind of have to figure out what kind of blades are working, because every blade has a different pitch to it because the material is different, so you just kind of have to pay attention to that, like subtle things, you know. Spinnerbaits, when I just had shown you guys this Colorado blade, you can really slow roll it in dirty water, clear water. These fish will absolutely pummel the spinnerbait. This is a tried and true right here. For all you people that say spinnerbaits don't work, I beg to differ. They definitely work. And football jigs, you know, those finesse days, those real cold front days like today, you know, these work very well, especially bedding fish. You put these on a bed, these fish are going to snap at them. So they might pick it up and spit it out at first, or the male might get it first, but these fish will absolutely choke a football jig any time of the year at that. Frogging, I've been doing a little frogging here and there. It's getting there. I just, I like my chatterbait bite right now, but the frog bite, it will be picking up this week. I guarantee you that. Spro King Daddy Frog, the KVD, Hollow Body Frog, the River to Sea, Swamp Lord, stuff like that, Scum Frogs, Stanley Ribbits, stuff like that has been working really well. And for your big fish that are still lurking in the shallows at night, I've been throwing the big baits to make those fish move and react to them. But believe it or not, Dave, the smaller presentation's been getting big fish. So that's been the name of the game. My striped bass fishing, like I said, will be picking up this week very drastically. So I will be on the hunt for them. And yeah, it's just been pretty fishy this spring, Dave. I can't complain. The last 2 weeks have been phenomenal. Last night was phenomenal. Yeah, that's just the way it goes right now. All right, same time next week, guys. Later.
Pushing over the border into Connecticut, striped bass fishing still leading the way in Connecticut waters, and a lot of the action seems to be centered around the rivers. So whether you're at the Thames, the Connecticut River, the Quinnipiac, or all the way out at the Housatonic, a lot of striped bass activity sort of clustered around these spots. A lot of these fish are in that around the slot size, say 26 to 35 inches, something like that. But we are seeing good numbers of bigger fish into the high 20-pound class. And a lot of the action is centered around bunker, just like it is everywhere else right now. So you're seeing guys doing well on things like big finesse fish, big topwater plugs like a big pencil or a big spook. And deep diving swimmers have been doing well. And of course, the flutter spoon has been kicking some butt as well. Sea bass fishing started off on the slower side so far, which is what I typically expect at this time of the year. Things usually start off slow in Connecticut, but the porgy fishing has been very good. I was talking to Captain Greg DeBrule last week from the Black Hawk, and he said that this has been one of the better starts to porgy season he's seen in several years, so that's been great. A lot of the action has been over on the other side, over in Long Island at the Peconics and whatnot, but we are seeing them starting to, migrate over to our side, and probably by the end of this month, things should be firing really hard for you porgy guys out there. Up in the Connecticut River area, we're seeing a pretty good push of weakfish in that area as well. A lot of those fish are actually being caught on Captain Mike Roy's boat, so let's check in with him now. Here he is.
Hey everybody, for this week's fish report, the striped bass fishing has really improved, especially in terms of size. Bigger stripers are moving in. We've had multiple fish over 40 inches over the past week. These fish are covered in sea lice, so these are fresh migratory fish. It seems to be getting better daily. The prominent bait we're seeing is adult butterfish and some adult bunker around as well. We're doing well with soft plastics, some topwater plugs, bucktail jigs, Ben Parker flutter spoon. So they're hitting the artificials pretty well right now. So as far as other species is concerned, there are a few bluefish around. The weakfish are kind of thinning out. So this is the time to get out and really focus on that spring striped bass run.
Pushing up the river, let's check in now with Rowan Lytle.
Hey everybody, so this spring continues to hurl curveballs at us in the way of weather. Some very cold weather this week, looking like it's going to warm up over the weekend, but there's also a substantial amount of rain on the way, and I do anticipate that will bring the Connecticut River up yet again, and it's still on the high side. Now, the shad fishing has been pretty fantastic this week up north in Massachusetts. Some of the Connecticut tribs have been fishing fairly well as well, but for the most part they've pushed through, and that's really where the bite is heaviest at the moment. Carp and channel catfish are kind of going to be my focus, both for myself and clients in the coming week and over the weekend, and we'll just see how things shape up from here. This is a kind of erratic and strange spring, very different from the last few, but anticipate higher water to kind of remain in play. And cold conditions means finesse bites and more focus on bait if that's your game. So still worth getting out. There's plenty of good fish to be had, and certainly this cooler weather will keep the trout fishing good longer, but definitely anticipate higher water.
Now crossing over to Westbrook, let's check in with Matt Stone from Black Hall Outfitters.
What's up, everyone? Matt here from Black Hall Outfitters in Westbrook with this week's fishing report. Just got home from fishing myself. A lot of striped bass have moved into the central Long Island Sound, and a lot of varying sizes. Just today I got a bass around 40 inches and also one at like 18 inches. So bunch of different approaches. Inshore, kind of in the shallow water, you're doing a lot of flats fishing right now. Those fish can be really fickle. You really need kind of to thread the needle on the time of day, the tide, the weather, the wind, all that good stuff. Throwing a lot of soft plastics. I did really well on the 24/7 Mully topwater plug today. SP Minnow, trolling tubes works as well. That's kind of the name of the game right now in those flats until we get some bunker arriving. There's a really good bite happening right now out on the reefs, rips, kind of generally. Guys are doing really well with spoons, similar bite that we had last year. A ton of fun if you can dial in that spoon bite. You can also use jigs, slow pitch like the Daiwa SK. You can use a Nomad Streaker, bunch of different options. Basically, you're setting yourself up, drifting over. Hopefully, you're marking some fish before you kind of beat up that spot. Dial in your drift, and it's a really fun way to fish, and guys are getting some really nice fish. I've had a lot of folks come into the shop recently showing me photos of some really sweet stripers, so love to see that. The next step is that we hope a big old flood of bunker comes in inshore, brings those reef fish into the nearshore waters, or maybe you just want them to stay out on the reef so you can use the spoon the whole time. It's a ton of fun to fish a spoon. So yeah, it's only going to get better. You know, we got a big old storm coming in this week. See what happens with that nor'easter, and then hopefully things settle in and we're off and running.
And while we're talking about weak fish, we may as well mention that the area from West Haven out to Milford has also been producing good numbers of weak fish. It seems like the surf guys are doing a pretty good amount of damage, especially after dark. Guys throwing things like real small pink or yellow bucktails, little tiny paddle tails like the 3-inch NLBN, or the smallest mag darter has been doing very well for those fish also. And then further west, the big bass fishing has been exceptional. Whether you want to get them on top water, you want to get them on the flutter spoon, trolling mojos, it's all working. We're seeing fish up well into the 40-pound class out that way. And for a little bit more on that, let's check in now with Max Finch from Fisherman's World.
Hey everyone, Max here from Fisherman's World with another local fishing report. This past week we saw keeper fluke, porgies, sea bass, some big bluefish, and big striped bass. The bite's hot in all aspects right now. It is spring and the fish are biting. Locally on the striped bass front, to the west is still really good. Off Norwalk is excellent, and to the east, middle ground is really picking up. Guys are trolling mojos, umbrellas, bunker spoons, deep diving plugs. These all are, effective methods to cover water and find a big striped bass. There's days you can, be trolling and you'll hit a big school pushing through. That's a good time to drop down the jigs, soft plastics, flutter spoons. I got out this past week a couple times. We had some big fish on the surface, and then we had some nice big fish jigging too, and live bait. Deeper water reefs is definitely the place to be right now. So the OB buoy, 28C, 11B, Can 13, these are all holding fish, and there's a lot of bait out there. Butterfish, bunker, and mackerel. Locally around the islands, you can find some slots and some over slots. You got to put some time in, move around, plug in, but you can definitely find these fish. On the fluke front, our side is starting to pick up. We've seen fish to that 19 to 22 inch range, which is a good sign. That means the fish are starting to move across. Can 26 and Can 24 is definitely your best bet. A lot of flukers are still shooting across the Smithtown Bay, Port Jeff, Eaton's Neck, and Huntington Bay. Remember, you want to be around all the sand eels. So when you're marking these big clouds of bait, that is the place to be and start your drifts. Guys are still getting up tight to the beaches and moving out, but they're covering different water columns, so it's nice to bounce around until you start finding these fluke. Sea bass are biting, definitely in the deeper water though. I would say, 40, 50, 60 foot. On these deeper water wrecks, if you got a spot lock, that's great. You can really get your limit really fast. Other than that, you got 28C, the Celtic wreck, the wreck south of Kopecky, and 32A off Stanford's been really good. And middle ground Stratford Shoal's been really good. Porgies, they're starting to pick up on our side too. We're starting to hear some bites on our deeper water reefs also, the same place you're going to find the sea bass. As the water's warm, we should just see the porgies flood more and more inshore. Thanks and good luck.
That's what I have for you guys in the reports this week. Hopefully it's going to inspire you to get out there. We got a 3-day weekend ahead. So, I mean, if nothing else, that should give you at least enough time to get out there and go catch something. Don't forget to take some photos and get them into me at danderson@thefisherman.com. You got a chance to win something really cool, and I'll foreshadow it one more time. We've got a really special prize coming up for the summer session, so keep your eyes open for that. If you're not a subscriber to The Fisherman, I highly recommend you head over to our website. That's thefisherman.com. You get a full taste of what we offer. We cover all the fishing from Delaware to Maine. We cover every angling discipline you can think of, whether you're an offshore guy, inshore guy, surf guy, kayak. It's all covered, freshwater, saltwater, all of it. It's $31.95 for the year. You're going to get 12 paper editions sent to your house. You get 26 digital editions sent to your email. You're going to get digital access to all the back issues as far back as they go. And you're going to get digital access to our other 2 editions, of which we have 3. So if you're going to sign up for my edition, which is the New England, you're also going to get digital access to the Long Island and the New Jersey, Delaware edition. It's the best $32 you can spend in fishing. There's no question about that. But if you check the website and you're still not interested, at the very least, give us a like and subscribe here on YouTube and hit that little bell thing right about there so you get a notification every time we post something new. I appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.